Eternal Return has anime aesthetics in it, you should know that, but you'd be disappointed to hear there isn't an anime that goes along with the game. But there is a manga or comic, as I'll be referring to it as, that was created back in 2018. At least that's when it was published to the site that had everything translated. The comic is more focused on Immortal Soul rather than Eternal Return, but they have the same universe and the same characters that we love, so I think this is more so an Eternal Return comic. When I was doing my lore video, a lot of people mentioned this, and they shipped it off to me. They're like, hey, this is kind of hype. The author is Kwon Na Hyun. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. They started these comics around 2018, and they have 500,000 views on them. There are 3 different comics. They released Black Survival, Black Universe, and Black Survival Bottomless Pit. So the main one I'm going to talk today about is Bottomless Pit, but let's scratch the surface on the other 2. So first off, I took a look at the Black Survival comic. This one had Hunmu as the main character. It leads off with a really cool scene of him killing Jenny. It gave the same vibe as the Suicide Squad, as like the researchers were just in there taking bets, watching, and like this is all a game. Then we're introduced to him on the island, and he's on a team with Hyjin and then Isol, even though they spell it Asol in the comic, but I think that's just a translation thing. And this was a very light-hearted comic compared to Bottomless Pit. It gave me kind of shonen vibes, and with that being said, it was really fun to watch Hunwoo and Isol and Hyjin defeat all these different survivors that came their way. I'm not really sure if the story was there, but it's really fun to watch characters that I've played in this game for who knows how long actually interact in like some thematic way. Then I went over to the next comic, which was Black Universe, which is also called We Will Solve Your Misfortune. And the story behind that is it takes place in Hyjin's old school. It's pretty much a backstory for Hyjin. She is rumored to be unlucky and to have misfortune, but really starting off, nothing unlucky happens to her. It's more so just the kids and the other people in the school are kind of jerks to her. That having one exception for an upperclassman. I don't know what his name is, but they call him Sunbae, which is just, I think, Korean for upperclassman. He wants her to join the Miss Fortune Club. If you ask me, it sounds like something out of Jujutsu Kaisen and Mob Psycho. But overall, while digging into Hyjin's backstory, Hyjin and this upperclassman form the club, and they go through different misfortunes happening at the school, and they attempt to solve them. I think the art design in this one's very pretty. She looks a lot different than she does in the other comics, but I think that's okay. It's not exactly an action-filled comic, but it's very feel-good, and if you like more slice-of-life-y type stuff, then this is definitely for you. Alright, so let's get into the main course. This comic was my favorite. It was called Black Survival Bottomless Pit. It's definitely the most graphic of all the comics, and definitely a little more serious in terms of its tone. While the other stories were fun to just see the characters interacting with other characters, and it's like, hey, I like reading this because I like the game. This story actually compelled me for the story. I think it was really well written. So this comic follows an amnesia-ridden Wick-a-line. You guys already know how much I love Wick, but already off to a great start. And here's a bit of a plot summary without any spoilers outside of like the first chapter of 28. So Wick wakes up. She doesn't remember anything, but next to her is a dead Fiora. Jenny and her squad that consists of JP, Hyjin, and Connor. I thought this was William at first. I don't really know who Connor is. There's some test subjects in this comic that aren't in any of the games, but let's just roll with it. And Jenny is automatically pissed. They're like, yo, you killed my girl. You killed my friend. What's up? But Wick's like, yeah, I don't know what happened, and they eventually end up trusting her and kind of push her into the squad. So not only are they hoping to make it to the end of the experiment, they actually have intel that this might be the last experiment. So it is doubly important that they make it to the end. Meanwhile, going through all of this, Wick-a-line is trying to get back her memories and figure out who Fred is. Meanwhile, they get hunted by a bunch of other test subjects, comics, some of my favorite and most notably being Zahir and Jackie. And similar to the first comic I mentioned, it's a lot of fun watching the test subjects fight each other. I think one thing ER has up on any other gaming franchise is it's really cool that it doesn't have to follow one set storyline, mainly because anyone can beat anyone in these test subject trials. Maybe one story, Hunwoo defeats Jenny, but maybe the next, Hunwoo's getting his shit rocked by Wickeline. I think that shit's cool, and it makes me excited that if this game ever gets the traction that it deserves, that we might see more comics like this in the future. Also, there's so many test subjects to pick from to get the best personalities in a story. I really like that this follows Jenny and JP. They have a lot of comedic moments, and I just like them as a pair. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I probably wouldn't have made it through if they were replaced with someone like Yuki and Hunwoo, who has the main protagonist syndrome. But I digress. The only other spoiler I'm gonna give you is that Adri is not in these comics. And it does feel like some of the characters show up a lot across all of the comics, so they definitely have their favorites. But to be fair, if I was writing ER comics, I'd have Adri, Maya, Jenny in each one. But if you're looking to read these on your own, I have some of the English translations down in the comics that should get you a good start. But I know there's also other stories related to ER, so feel free to link those in the comments as well. I'd love to see what you guys dig up. So I hope you enjoy some ER content that is a little more than just gameplay or how to play this complex game, but more of that will be coming as well. Thank you again for watching. It means a lot if you like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Adri Toma. Peace out.